Council Committees meeting of April 29, 2019. If you will, please stand with us for the invocation. Now with us, please. Dear God, in Jesus' name, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the United States of America. And thank you for the city of Temple. We pray for wisdom, knowledge, and discernment as we discuss the business of this city. We pray for our citizens. Pray for those that are sick, that you give them healing. Pray for those that are grieved, that you give them comfort. We just thank you for all this. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Before we go to approving the published agenda of this day's City Council meeting as presented, I want to offer Mr. Osborne an opportunity for announcements.
We just cover a few things before you hear. We do not have on the committee agenda tonight, but at your meeting coming up on Monday, May 6th, we do have an alcohol beverage license for the change of license here at the Villa Rosa Food Market. And so you will have a public hearing at 6:30 at your meeting next Monday night, and then make a decision on that. I put in your boxes today a copy of the request for proposals that we sent out last week to I think 7 or 9 sanitation services companies. And as you know, from our review, there were a few changes that we needed to make in that, and that was done. The deadline for receipt of proposals will be 5 o'clock Tuesday, May 21. Do expect you to be in a position to make a decision on that on Monday, June 3rd. We've had a couple of calls from companies, including a sit-down session with a representative from Waste Industries for clarification on some things. Just want to let you know that next week is the 50th annual City Clerks Week. So Kristen will be participating in the 50th anniversary of City Clerks. It's May 5 to 11. Later in your meeting, you will get a report when we talk to the Public Works Department. George Schuyler will be making a report to you. We had a major sewer spill last night that he will be providing information to you on. So those are my announcements.
All right, thank you, sir. This time I would entertain a motion to approve the published agenda of this day's City Council meeting as presented.
Make a motion.
Second. All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. All right, our first area will be the Budget and Finance Committee, chaired by Council Member Karen Bivens.
Yes, sir. First thing on there is the updated report on the draft refinancing timetable for the City of Temple's refinancing of the water bonds. Mr. Osborne.
As you know from the conversation we had at your meeting last week, we are looking at moving forward on that. Put the agenda item on for you tonight, just in case there were any questions that had come up. Mr. Camp is moving forward based on your discussion last week, but don't have anything new to report from him. But as I say, really put it on the agenda, Ms. Bevins, in case from last week, if there were any questions that you or any of the other council members had on looking at moving forward with what Mr. Camp is doing at this time.
Will this be on the agenda for Monday night for us to vote on?
I think the only, don't see that there's any action that we would be ready to take at that time.
Okay, and so is he looking at refinancing that, paying that $1 million down, or is he going to go back and revamp and maybe do 2 or 3 different options for us to pay down?
I think he'll be coming back to you with you to look at options, but also will be after he's done some further research, but also has had some contact with Carroll County Water Authority, including Bill Johnson, their bond counsel.
Okay, thank you. The next is a report concerning discussions by the representatives of Carroll County School System in the City of Temple concerning the status of several water and sewer accounts and concerning the process put in place to ensure accurate time of meter readings in the future. Mr. Bowman.
The first tab that you got past your agenda is on two items. We just covered the first one, the refinancing the water bonds. The other's on the school system utility bill. Some of you may have seen when we've been meeting with representatives of the school system. If you've read over the memo, you know that we have had over several months and been talking with them about some issues that go back some a fairly long way. There are about 20 water meters at the 4 schools here. 6 of those are connected to fire hydrants or irrigation systems that, of course, there's no telling how many people we had working as meter readers over the last few years. We do think that there were times that the meters were not read properly. We think that there were even some confusion with different accounts. I will say that George and his staff, we think we've got everything now properly identified. We don't see this problem occurring in the future as long as we keep going the way we are now. When this first came up, the school system did some objections. As we worked on this, they didn't want to pay their entire bill because they objected. They didn't think part of it was correct. And so we do have some penalty charges that we're looking at waiving. We do know, for example, that there were certain sewer user charges that were added to fire hydrant water meters and irrigation system water meters, which had not been done. Those have been deleted. We're going to make as sure as we possibly can that the monthly readings are consistent. Big uses like that, if you have 6 weeks between a read, that makes a big difference and so forth. As I say at the end of the memo, the final comment, once tomorrow's meeting is completed, we meet at 2 o'clock here. Assistant Superintendent Jones and a couple of his staff, Mayor, myself, George, Ken, that we hope to be in agreements with, so, as I say, I assume we'll have that report ready for you before your Monday, May 6th regular meeting. Any questions at this time, I'll be glad to try to respond, and we will hopefully soon have this long-standing problem clarified.
Any questions or comments? Move on to number 3, staff report and final discussion prior to the city council considering the renewal of the city of Temple's agreement with Zelle for computer services. Kristen?
Yes, ma'am. So the contract is coming up for renewal with Cassell. I don't really know what kind of discussion y'all need to have, but we would like to continue using Cassell. We're going on about 2 years using this software, and I think everyone's in agreement that it's working better than what we had previously. So I guess we're just asking that you will approve at your next meeting to continue the contract with them.
You know what the cost of that contract is?
I don't, and when I found out Friday that I was going to be on the agenda with this item, I did send an email. I contacted Cassell to see if they could give me an idea of what, if any, change to the amount would be, and I have not heard back from them yet, so I'll try to follow up with them and hopefully let you know something by Monday. I can't imagine that it would be too much, and even whatever it is, I think we have to, hopefully we can continue using that, but I'll see what I can find out. But I did try to contact them Friday, and I've not heard anything.
Ken, do you know what we pay Cassell for those, for the computer services by chance?
I think it's 29,000 per annum.
A year?
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions? Go ahead, Mr. Waller.
Yes, Kristen, is TVS still doing our water billing?
Yes.
So, guess if it can't be worse than them, I guess. Are they doing a good job with it, or getting things pretty much right?
As far as I know, it feels like we haven't had as many complaints lately. I would say the only complaints that we get every once in a while, there's a few people that for whatever reason, almost every month they say they don't get their water bill. And, you know, we're doing everything on our end that we have to do, and so is TPS on their end, so I feel like it's an issue with the mail. But that's really the biggest complaint I've heard. There's just a few random people that for whatever reason don't get a bill, but we've been researching that to see what's going on. But
Along that same line, what is the status with our bill pay?
that I really don't know. I'm not really involved in that, to be honest.
Who is?
Yes.
Samantha and Ken.
So did we just back up from that? I mean, one is, 6 and 1/2 does the other, all the computer programs have to work together, right?
Right.
So
Are you talking
bill
about bill
pay should
pay
be.
as far as where people can set up automatic payments or
Yeah,
that
no,
sort
the
of
whole
thing?
bit, where they can view their bill, where they can pay their bill.
I'm honestly not sure.
Express bill pay, it's compatible with Cassell, but for it to be installed, we will have to shut down our system for at least 2 days. And we don't have the turnaround time. I'm not sure we'll be able to down our entire operations for 2 days for the system to come.
You can do it as Saturday and Sunday, or a
that-
long holiday.
Yeah, to have them here during the weekend is going to incur an additional cost. That was what the representative I spoke to told me, they need to be specific.
At some point in time, we gotta have bill pay added for everything that someone, everything that people
Yes.
pay needs to be working, come through on that.
Exactly.
Is TBS, is it compatible with Cassell, though, if we put bill pay in motion with Cassell?
If-
Is TBS compatible?
No, it's not.
Okay.
But express bill pay is compatible with Excel.
Right, but the water bills come from TBS. So my question is, if we get express pay, can we do the water bills from TBS and can use the Cassell for the rec department and stuff? You see what I'm saying? Is it all compatible if we get that done?
And why did we stop the process
Of the process of,
of getting everything in place for bill? Because I thought that was a purpose with Cassell, that we'd be able to, to add the bill pay,
yes, sir.
and that we would be across the board, whether you're paying for, rental of the senior center to, paying your fees for Little League.
Yeah,
Let me jump in, because this is going to be before Ken joined us.
Oh, okay.
And I think what happened, of course, with all the just as we were installing Cassell, as you know, when Bill Ricker pulled out on us, and we were able to get Cynthia part-time, and I know that, as I think y'all know, that Cynthia spent a lot of time working on the transition over to Cassell, and then we had all the problems with Cassell and that transition, the audit stuff. Bottom line, I think it just got put on the back burner, and it's something that we can certainly pick up on, get you a better answer than we can do tonight, and then figure out, okay, how do we move forward.
Because that is a part of Cassell services, and if we're about to renew our contract or whatever, that would certainly need to be at the same time, because
And at some point, my assumption is surely we'll be moving away from TBS and be more in line compatibility with Cassell, but not sure when that will be.
Because see, the whole thing was supposed to be tied and come online when we did our web site, which is about to come online.
right, express bill pay can come online, but my hesitance is with the fact that we will have to shut down our operations for 2 days. So I asked him, I said, can you do this during the weekend? He said, it will incur more, an additional cost for their personnel to come over and get it installed during the weekend. And that's where we have an impasse.
Maybe you can get us some information together so we know what we're talking about.
Well, the other thing is also that we have a lot of holidays we take that other people don't take. So if we could shut down, or if we find a Friday holiday like this past one that we took, not everybody takes Good Friday. So we could have done it Good Friday and Saturday. If they didn't take Good Friday, we'd only have to be paying for Saturday anyway. So we could do any Friday and then a Saturday.
It would probably still, if it was done on the holiday, probably have an extra charge to
But
it.
Cassell may not take that holiday. Not everybody takes Good
You're right.
Friday. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead, Mr. Walker.
Did we pay for whatever Casell software that we would need to run this bill pay?
No,
Is that
that's
something that would have to be purchased?
entirely
Yes.
different from, it's different from Casella.
Yes.
It's an entirely different contract from
That's
Casella.
several $1,000.
But when you do bill pay, the consumer pays for it, not the, so that's a little bit different.
So what Howard's saying is it'll cost us a few thousand to get in there, but then the consumer will take over the cost after that. Okay. So yeah, if we could just get some more information on that. Even if we have to pay a Saturday, if they could do it on a Friday and a Saturday, that's still that one day.
Thank you, Gary.
No problem. Anything else, Mr. Walker? Okay, the next thing is the staff report on the continuing warrant by the CPA firm of Warren Everett and Son, City of Temple staff members on the local government 2018 audit. So that's Mr. Oliver and
I'm going to start us off, if you will go over to your next tab. You should see it says City of Temple Annual Audits. Ken and I had a conference call back on April the 16th with two of the staff members at Warren Everett. One of the people we talked with was Billy Bench, who you know has been here meeting with you before. And it's under his supervision our audit is prepared. The other is Smith, and that's a staff member who will be primarily responsible for preparing the 2018 audit. And from all indications, Rodney Benson, who has done it for the past 3 years, will not be involved in the 2018 audit, or will be involved only in a limited way. Now, when we talked with them, they gave us an audit request list, and you will see attached to the memo that I've given you, the audit request list. I'm going to turn it over to Ken because he's been spending a lot of time working on this, and he'll just kind of tell you briefly about what's going on. And you can see from looking at this that we are trying to be on some type of accelerated schedule. Ken?
On the first one, it says needed by 5/1/19. I was able to put all the documents together and send it to Patrick Smith, and I copied Bill Mitch as well. And today I sent him an email asking him if he could confirm that he has received all the documents for the May 1, 2019 audit review list. And he responded that yes, they have received everything they needed to enable them carry on with the audit, but they are reviewing them and will get back to us. That's what he said concerning the 5/1/19 deadline requirements. On the 5/15 and 19 requirements, we're still working on that. We're halfway through though, but there are some additional documents that need to be put together for them. We haven't completed the 5/15, but the 5/1/19 have all been put together and sent to them.
If you look on the next page, what Ken's put down over, you can see that 5/15 list is very long. Looks like it's, let's see, about 27, 28 different items. And then it, later, a week later in May, you can see there's a couple of other things. So we are trying to move things along. Back in, I'll be meeting tomorrow to talk about this next deadline and so forth. But we just wanted to let y'all know what was going on at the moment. And any questions, we'll be glad to try to respond.
Any questions or comments regarding the audit? Alright, so then we go to the next item on here. It is brief report on the City of Temple's government involvement in the upcoming 2020 census in order to help ensure full and accurate information is obtained from the community. So that's Mayor Johnson and Mr. Bell.
I'll let the mayor start off with whatever comments you may want to make.
Well, we heard a little bit about this last week at the GMA District 4 meeting, and apparently it appears that the government is providing a variety of ways for people to respond online by the traditional paper filled out and mailed in, and I think email even, I think was one of the options. But nevertheless, it's in our interest, in the interest of every government entity for its citizens to be cooperative in responding and reporting themselves to the census. It has a direct impact upon opportunities that we may be interested in trying to take advantage of in the years that follow the census count. So I encourage all that you come in contact with to fill out the census in whatever method they be most convenient to them. Donovan?
The only thing I would add is and we have included some information that was distributed to us last week at the GMA meeting in Newnan, and let you look at that at your leisure if you haven't already. But as I point out in the last paragraph of my memo, and there's a map in here showing what each community has done in terms of responses. Frankly, Temple has done a pretty good job in the past of responding to census takers and all the questions and the information that the census is looking for, which is good for us because, as the mayor says, I think you all know that a lot of federal dollars and some even state dollars depend on population figures, and that's where they're getting it from. So we just wanted to bring this to your attention. You will be hearing more and more about obviously the 2020 census over the next few months, but also local governments in the state and around the country will be getting more and more involved to be sure that we count everybody we count. Question, be glad to respond.
So, Michael, I know they talked to you, Mr. Bill, about that. So how are they gonna do if people do it? Some people just won't understand and they're gonna do all three of them.
They didn't really discuss that, so I don't know. I would guess there's going to be some kind of way to catch the redundancy, but I don't know. I didn't hear that discussed at the meeting, so it's a good question.
Well, I know they got a thing on here where they're talking about the ones who don't respond, but I'm all about this thing of who double and triple responds.
Yeah.
Any further questions or comments? Okay, that concludes my budget comments.
All right, thank you. Before we go to the Recreation Committee, just a reminder that at 6:30 we will pause the committee's meeting to go into the special call meeting. All right, Recreation Committee is chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Richard Brown.
All right, Sandra? She looked like a red. Hello.
How are you, my
All right, we're waiting on your report. Do we have a freezer?
Well, I have a freezer in place, I have a cooler in place, there are no chefs in either, and there is no cooling system connected yet, so they're just in place. But I do have brick stuff, it doesn't look like a tool shed quite so much anymore.
Does it good?
And it's bigger. We have plenty of room. So I feel proud of it. I have one thing, I don't know if I should bring it up now, but as you all know, I have been without an employee for quite a while, and we're down to the bare bone. And we've done interviews, and I have one that I think would be very great, and I'd like to hire her tomorrow.
Let me, kind of jump in here.
Watch it very quick.
Miss Sandra and I interviewed her this afternoon, and certainly she is, by far the better of the two applicants that we have had. We did, I told Sandra we'd bring it up tonight because with changes that Mr. Dragno was going through, frankly, I was not sure what role that the council wanted to play in this, Mr. Mayor, so we're here saying we've done the interview, we would recommend her, but we not sure if we're recommending her to be interviewed by you, be looked at by the council, or, but if it's up to us, we would recommend her for employment. And Sandra, why don't you, before they answer that, just give them about 45 seconds worth of background.
Okay, she has worked at the school, she's worked for Carroll County in the lunchrooms, for I think it's 10 years, and she's been at West Georgia College working for dining services, which they put her just about anywhere, so she's real good with it. You know, she's been in different groups, different settings, and she's got about 17 to 20 years experience, so. And she's young, and she works hard.
Full-time, part-time?
It'll be full-time.
Is there any salary change or hourly change in the rate, or is she coming in at what the, that?
That's
what it
the
says.
starting salary.
Starting salary is nine, that's why we got a hard time
Based
thinking about
on
it.
the new personnel manager, you have the authority to hire her without council approval.
Mr. Osborne.
You have my other report. Any questions?
For my part, I have no hang up, so go ahead. Whatever committee.
Yeah, I think you and based on that, it's you and on the new one, you and
She's always
the administrator and the department heads are good with it. You just get it out. You don't have to go in first.
We did in talking with her this afternoon. She finishes up her work at University of West Georgia because she's off for the summer over there. So she finishes up on the 10th, and so she start here on the 13th.
That's the first new employment review system. But it is kind of nice to just let us know who it is, so we.
Would you like to see the?
No.
She was full-time?
When you, in your report
Full-time.
with it doing this way,
Hourly
that
basis.
is there any department head, it would just be kind of a quick introduction of who they are. You know, but you didn't know that, that's you're the first to do it since we used the, since we have the new personnel now. Put some stuff in that freezer. Does anybody
When
have
it
any
gets where it's
questions?
due, I will. If they did, I wouldn't believe it, I'm sorry.
Now, if we can get the, if we can get the little shack out there going, we have it all night.
Then they get the coolant and the shelves in, we'll be good to go. And they did,
Have they given you a timeline on that?
no, they did shore up or fix the cracks on the building on both sides,
So
so
they,
that looks good, yes.
So you do have a door going in there now?
Off the store,
Yeah.
not from outside.
Right, just from the school.
Is the walk-in cooler and freezer in?
Yeah.
Just not
I'll
hooked
look
up?
at 'em, yeah. They're
They
not.
look good.
I'm excited.
So you do, yeah, this is going to make a difference in your storage, because that's one of the biggest
Yeah.
problems, right?
Yeah, when it's weird, it's, oh, yeah.
Your enthusiasm level is much higher than it was about 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Well,
Yes.
it's looking, I mean, we're getting there now, and 4 or 5 weeks ago, we didn't, we were just,
Couldn't find them.
We're gonna
Wondering, when-
we were upset.
Square box. Thank you, Sandra.
That's what I call it.
We appreciate you and what you do.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. All right,
I'll leave it.
Joe? Okay. Well, a lot of questions about this report. I wish Joe was here.
Well, I got it, so
Talked
I'll
with
see it.
Mr. Wilson today, and he said that,
Okay.
they've got games going, and apparently there's, so the rivalry between Temple and Bremen is such they will be, needing, some extra oversight of what was going on with the games there. But anyway, he sent this, to me, that I made you a copy, and, the first couple of items, the east part, as you said, the infield grooming machine is working good. I do have one quote that he sent me, as he mentions, from McIntosh. He's talking to 3 paving companies, and you will see that, for example, on the page, you've got item, as I read it, item 2 and 2A. One is got 2 inch and the other 4 inch in terms of asphalt, and the same for 3 and 3A. We will be needing to get the other quotes, so.
Are we doing a bid process here?
I
or
was
we
just saying,
just-
have we ran
How are
this?
we doing this? This doesn't seem like it meets any kind of standards at all.
Well,
I
We
mean,
advertise it.
we
The
just,
only thing I can tell you is that I saw it for the first time.
well, I mean, we got a department that it should be following our procedures.
I agree. So
And that's not our procedure to have a piece of paper turned in. I mean, all they got to do is fight over this piece of paper to fix the next ones up. That's the purpose.
Can we not get the county to do asphalt and not even have to do this?
Why aren't we asking for seal bids at this rate?
We got 3 questions at one time.
I'm sorry.
I think we need him to come in and explain this. I would prefer a department head to be here. I mean, you know, it's okay, but there's conflict every time we have a meeting. Maybe he can't come tonight, maybe he'll be here Monday night and be prepared to answer questions.
And I can't really answer any questions, because like I say, I saw it for the first time about 4 weeks ago.
So we're seeing this. The next one, the same thing. We don't have any kind of idea of what the walking trails of the amphitheater, we haven't been given any pre-discussion of what that is all about. They're already, I mean, he's getting quotes. That's the same thing. I mean, I didn't think that we could just get quotes. I thought we had to have a document prepared and ask people to give us a bid on it instead of that.
Don't we require an RFP if it's over $5,000? And that's our procedure.
That's what I thought.
Well, then none of this is really relevant.
State law is gonna require you to have bids for these things that are like house. Just that whole public works construction.
Would you invite him to the council meeting Monday night? Sure. But the concession bathroom upgrades,
I thought that was already done.
they do like the last one.
I don't. We are 50% higher. Most people are anywhere from 90 to 120%.
I know, but we at least show the project. I'm sorry, Mr. Oliver. I guess, Chris, you do start with there, because these we got, you need to talk to him about those, but here, that, the press box. So is that complete?
The press box, must be just about complete, because it said it'd be complete soon, and, another
Oh, the
week.
second.
Second week of May.
Yeah.
Mr. Osborne, are we sponsoring those games that are being played at the gym on Sundays? Is that under the rec department?
I don't know, didn't know we had any being played on Sunday. but,
There is games being played on Sunday at the high school gym, is I'm not
About
mistaken.
basketball?
Yes.
I
It's-
think it's yes, I think
Men's
it's
basketball.
adult league.
But are we sponsoring that?
Mhm.
Why are we not using our gym?
I believe, are they not using both locations?
Maybe, let's put it this way, not Sunday, I know of.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say they are or they aren't.
Okay. Have to ask.
Right now.
Well, if you'll ask him to come to the committee meeting, come to council meeting. Please. All right. Any other questions? But the one that you, it looks like with our discussion of the concessions, that's in pretty good shape. isn't it? Right? Wouldn't you say that? In the concession? Because add that to that, right, which would make that 10,000,
I think it's better than,
than we've had in a long time. All right? Any questions? We'll have our regular committee meeting Monday night. All right, thank you.
All right, sir, if you will, continue with the personnel committee.
That's you, President. This is a report concerning the upcoming renewal of the City of Temple commercial insurance and concerning the city workers' compensation coverage. There was another one, here, right? I didn't see anything.
no, you gotta,
It's in this separate book. Gotcha. Okay, but I mean, we nothing to refer to.
no, sir.
All right, so, Mr. Arthur, you okay? You know what you need to do.
Well, I think, Preston's just gonna go through this, weekly so that, explain to you what we're looking at.
For the second time in y'all's meeting coming up, I'll just point out on the tabs, the service overview, that's kind of what we have the ability to do for everyone. Obviously, me and Mr. Osborne communicate a lot on that, when help is needed from a risk control standpoint. I will refer you to page 4 of that, which is kind of your service team. The main people on that page are obviously myself and Miss Mindy. She works in the office with me, so if there's ever a certificate needed, autos to be added or deleted, I know me and Miss Kristen work closely on that part of it. Police vehicles, if we have buildings to add, things of that nature. And below that is kind of people with niches within Jason and Lanier that work with us for, as you can see, like Paul Houghton for claims handling, Michael Govar for risk control, and then also you see like Kim Johnson for online training, things of that nature. The rest of these pages kind of explain what each of these people do. If you have any questions on that, would like to look through it, feel free. The next tab is our claim summary. This is just a nice little layout to kind of show what it looks like from our claims history over the past 5 years. You will see the first 2 pages are kind of the layout, and the things that follow are the charts explaining frequency versus severity. I will be honest, we have had pretty good years over the past 3 or 4 with selective, and then on the work comp, I think y'all may remember last year we were able to save a large sum of money. switching it to a carrier named Key Risk. Would y'all like for me to go over the work comp, auto, general liability, the claims? This year, the only thing we're looking at, we've had one auto claim, and then we have 2 workers' comp claims that are pending. Those will probably close. And only general liability, we had, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head what that was. Yeah, property damage of others. It has a reserve set at 5,000, which happened. Date of loss is 6/9/18. I don't know if we go over who it is, and all that, but other than that, we've got a very clean slate, knock on wood. Any questions there? I will move on to the coverage. This is the meat and potatoes part. This is kind of everything we have. This is what the premiums evaluated on, things of that nature. Obviously, our named insured is the city of Temple. The schedule of locations, these are all locations in which Temple has property and we are located. The following page is our property. You will see that blanket coverage description right there. That means we have one big bucket for our building and business personal property limit. So that limit right there, $8,762,549 is in essence, all of our building and business personal property added up into one. We give the carrier to blanket that, so as the only way that we could ever not be fully insured is if the whole city is pretty much like a catastrophe, lays everything out, instead of having everything individually limited. You will see that quake and flood, we have $1 million. We have no co-insurance. Deductible is $2,500, and for the quake and flood and quake, it is $25,000. The following page is definitions of insurance definitions. I usually tell everyone if they have questions, feel free to call me. Page after that is the property statement of values. You will see the buildings and business personal property limits for each of our locations over the next 1, 2, 3 pages. All of these locations have business income and extra expense at actual loss sustained. What that means is instead of a limit of insurance, we have a time limit of insurance, which is 12 months. So all of these locations, as long as they can be repaired and or replaced within 12 months, the business income aspect of that, pretty much the money flow of those locations, will be covered by the insurance. Following page, commercial crime coverage, employee death, blanket limit, $250,000. That's, let's say I'm working for the city and I have, ciphered off $1,000 a week for 52 weeks. That's $52,000 or $51,000 the week I take my vacation, and everyone figures it out. We have a $51,000 claim. It isn't 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. Following page is our general liability. All of our exposures are the same, unless we've paid or added any new roads lately, which I do not believe we have. Next page, I went ahead and included the police professional, the herbicide, pesticide, which is us spraying weeds, things of that nature, and the public officials on this page. Abuse and molestation coverage we have in place, and then the employee benefits liability is if we forget to add someone to the health plan, they end up with cancer, there's going to be a lawsuit involved with that. There's where the $1 million of coverage is. Following page, cyber. This is a new coverage to us. Glad we have decided to add this line. You will see we still have this with Beasley. We can run through all of these limits. The main thing here to note is that it is a duty to defend, which means, let's say we have an attack that shuts down the computer systems here, and they hold us for a Bitcoin ransom, you name the number. Our carrier then comes in, we have the forensic analysis, all of that is paid for by the carrier up front. Some of these cyber policies are set up to where whoever the insured is, they pay the money, and then the carrier pays them back. We're the other way around. We're on the side we would like to be. Following page is just a continuation. Next page, auto liability. You see we have $1 million liability. That's us hitting someone and something happening. Uninsured, underinsured motorists. Uninsured motorists, obviously somebody without it. Underinsured, somebody carries state minimums. They hit us and, you know, total our vehicle that costs $70,000 and they only carry 50. Our insurance policy jumps in to take on that extra $20,000 in losses. Following page is the list of all of our vehicles. As Kristen and I went through all of these over the renewal, they should all be correct. Following page, driver's list. I know this changes somewhat throughout the year. I know we work on keeping it updated as much as possible. The big thing there is, as you have got people that drive on a regular basis, you're going to want to make sure we add them because the carrier makes sure to run their NVRs. I also suggested to Ms. Kristen, when we hire someone, ask them to bring their NVR, just in case you don't want to have somebody driving one of the company vehicles and they have a DUI, suspended license, things of that nature. Following page,
I'm sorry, Kristen, we need to update that. There's about 3 on there that are gone, and there's 2 on there not even on there. Go ahead.
which is, yeah, okay. Equipment floater, this is our contracted equipment. You will see on the next page.
Right.
Along.
I got a question right there, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
So if we have an employee that's not listed here, and say they jump in a vehicle to run an errand, they are covered, right?
Yes, sir. The way the auto liability works, it's going to follow that auto,
Not the person.
not the person. The carrier, they want you to add every single person you can, and they know that's not possible. They just want you to, the people that are obviously driving all the time, they want to make sure that you're getting good drivers.
Gotcha.
Because that's where, you know, the big lawsuits come from. So they're wanting to make sure you don't take on, you know, the guy that's had 3 speeding tickets, 1 texting and driving, and he jumps in our car speeding and texting and hits, I mean, worst case scenario, a group of people. Yes, sir.
These vehicles that says NIL after the fact, that mean they're not insured?
No, that means they do not have comp and collision.
Okay, but they are still insured?
Yes, sir.
We don't use them?
Yes,
Some
sir.
of them do.
Well, if they're not used and they still have a tag on them, you still got to carry the insurance.
And we don't have our new police vehicles on here yet. Doesn't look like. 2019 rolls, 2018 rolls.
2019 or 2018?
2018. We should have 4.
2019,
Yeah, we got 2 2019s.
When did we get those?
this year. Rick?
We
Yeah.
got 2 new
Craig,
ones.
do we have those yet? Do we have our 2019s?
Yes, we got them all.
So they're
How many
you're
are
driving them?
We got, you said how many police vehicles we get this year? We got 2.
2018s and 2019.
We got 2 2018s and 2 2019s.
And need 4 of them on here.
Have we retired any of them?
Yes, the old big, the T2, which was the Impala. We retired the Dodge Charger and one of the Crown Vics.
So we need to take 3 of them off the insurance.
Okay.
And that,
And the 4 new ones.
I will make a note to get with Ms. Kristen on that, tomorrow morning.
Do we have a 2001 Crown Victoria? That's 18 years old.
That's the one you said was retired, the L1 Crown Vic, chief?
Who?
The 2001 Crown Vic, is it
Yeah.
retired? Retired. Preston, does anybody in the city ask you, is there a break on insurance on these vehicles if we got GPS tracking?
The carrier will take that into consideration, that our carriers are starting to ask all contractors, along with the larger auto fleets, to carry GPS on them, along with a tracking system to monitor them. And I know that's
Don't we have tracking on the police vehicles, chief?
they're talking about the whole fleet,
Yeah.
not just, they're talking even the maintenance truck driving up and down the road.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But we got tracking on the police vehicles, don't
But yeah, we got the GPS on.
we?
You have GPS?
But yeah, not the ones that's on the lot though, down here we don't, but the ones that's active, we do. All
Okay.
patrol vehicles have them on.
And the GPS, is it also like a Fleetmatics kind of thing where it monitors their speed and?
The one, I don't think it does the speed, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I know it does, we can look on the
And
map
see
and
where
see
they
where
are.
every officer is at that time.
But that's, if you want to be kind of state of the art
Yeah.
front of it, you're going to want the GPS along with what I call Fleetmatics, is in essence, it is monitoring the speed of which people drive. We see it with heavy autos, sand and gravel haulers, ready-mix trucks. They're monitoring, they see it, they're in a 55-mile-an-hour speed zone and they're going 61. The person monitoring that is getting a text message and or an email immediately saying, hey, we're above the speed limit. We're just seeing that across the board in the auto market.
It shouldn't take that much more to get the rest of ours.
We do have something like that on our cameras. If the officer reaches a certain speed, then it automatically come on and start video on our cameras.
So yeah, anything along that line, I will tell you, obviously our auto fleet is growing, and that is one of our largest line items outside of the work comp. But that is where we also see in the commercial insurance world the largest loss ratios right now. All carriers in 2017 and 18 were running a 110% loss ratio, which means the industry as a whole paid in $1 and $1.10 was paid out, which is not good.
So what are we looking at as far as savings if we have GPS?
That would be a underwriting question. They don't give us, it's not kind of like on your personal insurance where they tell you, hey, it's a 10% discount to add a GPS. That's not how they will look at it, because there's multiple factors taken into your auto rating. It includes drivers. They look at all of your drivers and look over their records, and if they're a cleaner record, you're going to get a better rate on the autos for that. The larger the fleet, you're going to get a better rate. You want smaller vehicles versus larger vehicles, better rates. The auto world is hard right now, but we do see in other lines that they're a little softer. You'll see work comp slightly down. But from an auto standpoint, as much monitoring as possible is what a carrier likes to see.
What about the GPS, I'm sorry, the Bluetooth devices, does that help?
When no phones? Yeah, that's how all the carriers are looking at that now. They don't want
We
you
do have the devices, I purchased those last year, we put them in the car once that law broke. So all the vehicles are equipped with Bluetooth.
Mr. Osborne, we getting we talked about getting their driver's thing twice a year. Have we started that yet? Their driving records twice a year?
NVR.
Have we started that yet? We talked about doing that on our employees too.
One question with ours is a post requirement, so you can probably, the city, the police, if you get a ticket, we have to report to the post. Tickets, arrest, anything, automatically, if not, they suspend you and you can't police it, so.
And I love you, Craig, but I know there are honest people out there, don't do it.
No, but, well, yeah, I understand that too, but there's consequences behind that. There really is consequences behind that. You get a ticket, don't report to your agency.
I will also say that we have seen, now this isn't guaranteed, but we have seen that we have defensive driving courses online, same as, you know, if somebody gets a ticket, they go to get points off their license. We have, I go to contractors because their auto fleets are always very large. We have a number of contractors now that use our Zywave program. It was one of those people. And what they do is each time they hire an employee, whether it be a clerical worker, somebody driving a truck, or just what I call a gopher out on the job, they are putting them through that defensive driving course. Because one, it spits out a little certificate, you take a little test. It's something for us to have on file to show the carrier we are doing the most we can to avoid accidents. It also, on some people's personal insurance, they can turn that in and it saves them 5–10% on their insurance, just because they did it through work, and that is free. So all of y'all could log on, set that up. All I would need is if I get with Ms. Kristen, set us up a login, and all employees can take that. We added that as of last year, later in the year, to our Zywave program because of what the auto market is doing. So we have created a defensive driving course for it, and it's a simple log on, 45 minutes. You go through a little video test, pass the test, gives you a certificate, and you can take it to your personal lines carriers. Some accept, some do not. I don't work in personal lines to tell you who does and who doesn't. But we have seen people use it, and then on the commercial side, we like to keep those on file in-house for, you know, we talk about a renewal with a carrier. Before we had 20 people complying with this, however, now we have all 39 employees fully registered and have all taken this defensive driving course. Thank you. Sorry. Auto's a big deal. Auto is a big deal, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. But I knew you wanted to get to the big and not have to wait.
I agree. Equipment floaters, all of our equipment listed. Leased and rented equipment means we could go rent or lease equipment for $5,000, $1,000 deductible. Work comp, kept all the exposures the same. $1 million for the employer's liability. We have added a $2 million umbrella to our policy, which sits over the general liability, auto, employers, police, public officials, and that employee benefits. Recommended coverages, we can go over later. Let's get to the premium page. On the premiums, you will see all of my notes below. The big ones there, you will notice that the cyber went up a decent bit. That was actually because we had our exposure wrong last year. Mr. Kenneth and I noticed that. And then
Automobile and umbrella is our biggest two. That's our biggest two increases. That's mostly for most of your difference.
Yeah, so the umbrella is based on the lines below it, the premiums based off that. So you'll look at the auto, there's one, and then the law enforcement went up slightly. That is because each time we add a police officer, there is a premium associated with that for obvious reasons.
We added dollars.
Other than that, you will see that overall it is about a 4% increase, which isn't bad. Work comp's down, GL rate decrease. Any questions?
Is that gonna cover our new vehicles that we got to add, the 4 new police vehicles?
That does not cover new vehicles yet, but let me confirm that our list on that page is correct. I've got it noted. We'll get that fixed.
So are we gonna vote on this Monday night? Is it something we need to vote on?
I think we've got another month before we have to do that. I have to double check. I know when we talked about this, I guess last month, y'all had wanted Preston to be here at this meeting to make a report to you.
So what I did was I went ahead and got the full proposal. I will say this, it's better if y'all are okay with it to go ahead and do it, because What I don't want to happen, if we, knock on wood, don't want it to happen, have a catastrophe loss. And then that carrier goes, Preston, we're gonna pull that renewal quote because y'all haven't already found it. I just don't like doing that, but that's up to y'all.
Can you send us the updated number from Monday night if we decide to vote on it, please, once you get our vehicles added?
Yeah.
Because it's gonna change.
Yeah, oh, it's gonna change.
Yeah, we can have it on the agenda.
Hey, I asked him to put it on the agenda for Monday night.
But
Okay,
I will get updated that.
Right, you'll get that, we have to before we go to. Okay?
so do y'all want me to come back Monday night, go over all of it, or do you just want me to send the
Just
update?
send the
Send the
numbers.
update.
Okay.
We're good.
All right, with that,
Yeah.
I guess we need to pause so that
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, Preston.
All right, this time, we need to vote on the pause.
Thanks, man.
All right, I entertain a motion to recess the committee's meeting.
make a motion to reset.
I second.
All in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Get you a copy.
All right, it's time we'll call to order the city council special call meeting of April 29, 2019. First, we want to entertain a motion to approve the published agenda of this state's special call city council meeting.
You said the
Right behind you over
first
there.
you were,
Right there.
is it very back or the first?
I don't have it. All the way to the back. Well, maybe I do have it.
You did.
So we gotta move, we gotta, the published agenda. All right, I make a motion, whatever, approve the agenda.
All right. Have a motion?
I'll second.
I have a second. Any discussion on the agenda? All in favor, let it know by saying aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under new business, item number 1, recommend the appointment of a new City of Temple Public Works Director, including conditions of said appointment. At this time, I entertain whether or not you would like to go into executive session for further discussion before taking action.
Make a motion, we go into executive session.
All right, have a motion?
I second.
Have a second, go into executive session. All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign, we'll go into executive session.
But you have to make the statement.
We may be voting on something.
There may be action taken after the executive session. Hey, Don.
Oh, no, I went,
I mean, I just realized,
well, actually,
he doesn't know what he's doing.
I got blindsided at 4 o'clock this afternoon where I got the,
You're right.
Oh, we didn't actively post.
That's not on us. That's Burger King.
There's signs like opening. Right. And I saw them at we only got 4 more places. He would have taken his reference.
Yeah, man, how about you? Good. Well, huh?
I said, I didn't think he won't come back.
Well, I ain't come back. They wanted to talk to me. Not right sure.
30th this year.
Easy.
He's been there, I think he said it was 4 years. I think he had that one, was it? He's got an uncle that lives, our cousin that works in Atlanta. Rock section, yeah, he's like a sergeant there. No, he's a little older, he's probably 36. In the roughest one. And he's always saying, oh, God, no, baby.
The same person that did work, I hear probably was like, trying to sell. They got more things, but then they got more resources than we had. It's like that. One officer, one zone, they got probably 10 other officers backing up versus us. That's bad. And then you got not only investigators for equity, when they work out, they have to get more successful, they got somebody to do all that. You don't have to be there every day, you just write a ticket and then everybody else takes it.
This man has been, his cousin has been bit during the traffic thing. The guy that had AIDS had to go through that to get out.
Ooh, that's bad.
I know.
I think I would take
He got ran over by a guy that jumped in the car, said he was trying to arrest, and ran over him. He's got shot.
What is this person live? He live like this?
He lives at our old house now. He bought our old house.
The old house, where's the old one?
Where Jonathan grew up, down Taylor's Gym Road, where I
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
So he comes to get over there?
Yeah.
The same
Well, he
person?
probably comes to rebuild our house.
Oh, but he still won't quit that.
Well, they love him.
Yeah, that's somebody probably, maybe one day, but yeah.
He's had some things happen to him.
That's gonna be my next move after I get home. Go back and get one. That's actually just, yes, sir. But we still. Oh,
doing much better than before that. Yeah, it's been 3 years. Did you know that? It's not. No, she's not doing that, but she's really, I mean, the scar, you know, I was thinking it would be a little incision. It's like an old door. It's all the way down my, I don't know. The last chemo that they used didn't work, so they're trying to, she can tell she's just busy and tired. She's tired of. She's not eating. And again, they give her, she's got feet. She wouldn't even, she'd look at it and be it all mad, and she just, today, I went over there today, and she was a little snappy with it, like, get out of my face. Yeah.
Six, seven, city administrators. Yes. He was administrator for 4 years. And he told me this, he was said, a lot of experience, and then we all see what I can do. So he's gonna be the best man for the job. I highly recommend the job. I guess so. He can say, I do.
Where is he now, do you know? He just goes and fills in. What he did, he had some of the things that he was doing. Because when he came to work Black Cancer Department, at all, were there any black people that were in leadership positions? There wasn't any. Was there women? Was there any women? I remember that being a big thing, you know. Can't you just stick your head in there and say, all right? They know what they're gonna do.
were saying about the,
You're fine. And Mr. Freeman just got here, this is sitting, so y'all have any questions for us? I guess you can.
Coffee donut, coffee donut.
Hey, Doc, how are you, Tommy?
Good, how are you?
Good. Things going well? Well?
Yeah, it's going pretty good. How about you?
All right, we entertain a motion that we come out of executive session.
I just did it.
I hear a second.
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. All right, we return to business. Item number 1, recommend the appointment of the new City of Temple Public Works Director, including conditions of said appointment. I'd entertain a motion to approve the hiring of Mr. Tommy Freeman.
I'll make that motion to hire Tommy Freeman under, step 34, or grade 34, step H, at the amount of $65,232.96.
All right, have a motion.
Second?
Have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Welcome to the Temple team, Mr. Freeman.
Okay,
Anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Freeman?
Mr. Freeman, you have any questions or comments for us? You look kind of stunned.
well, a little bit. I wasn't expecting that tonight. I was expecting, just to talk with you, I guess, and see, see what the package was and see what we were dealing with and, to make a decision from there, I guess.
Well, you-
Get like a formal offer and,
Well, we made our decision, so it's up to you now.
So you got a lot to think about?
Can I think about it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, any closing comments? All right, I entertain a motion to adjourn the special call meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn special call meeting?
Second, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. All right, we'll resume with our personnel committee. Item number 2, and the chair is Mayor Pro Tem Richard Bragg.
Right, and we're on item number 2, updating report on City of Temple employee compensation. All of it is basically ready to send to the attorney so that you will have a document to review. That what this document does is it brings together payroll, this step, you know what I'm talking about, this step. Yeah, the pay scale, the job descriptions, the whole process of how you apply for leave, those kind of things, getting all those documents together. So it should be in a document so that we can really look at it and see if we want to make changes. All right, and that's kind of an update on that. And then any questions about that? All right. If not, then we'll go to the Georgia Municipal Association discussion of the designation of Temple's voting delegation later at the June annual meeting and discussion of whether to support the proposed slate. So I think that was, last year was the mayor, correct?
Yes,
Yes, last couple of years, and I've got your amendment, it has been the way over the last few years. figure y'all need to decide what you want to do. And then also the other part also.
Okay, so put it on the agenda for Monday night.
We'll put it on the agenda for Monday night, and, as you see, what I've given you includes the voting delegate form, so once you decide that we've got to send that in, and then you also have a memo showing where the officers are coming from for your district. And as you know, they just move up, so your new person is a council member from Turin, and then others just move up year by year.
Any other items that need to be addressed under the personnel committee? If not, it's back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, sir. That moves us to Community Development Committee. Chair is Councilmember Highland Miller.
Have reports on the upcoming meeting of the City of Temple Planning Commission and on industrial development. Mr. Osborne?
You will turn over to your next tab, that there are several parts to this, and I'll go through each part and see any discussion you might wish to have. And the first thing I would report to you is that we have given you an updated version of Exhibit A on the design standards. This was what you approved the other night. And so you've got it, the new wording on 14. Don't think there's any discussion we need to have on this, but we have provided copies to that to builders and developers. Second is that we've got a meeting coming up. Now, when I prepared this for you the other day, I thought this meeting was going to be on Tuesday the 16th. It probably now looks like it will be on 6 p.m. on Thursday the 14th. This, the 16th. This will not be a joint meeting with you. It will be just the Planning Commission. And I did just put it there so you can see two things we're talking about. One, this will be coming back to you. Mr. Woody has decided that he needs to make a little boundary change on what you did before, so for setback reasons. And then the other is something that we've been working on, Mr. Walden's been working on the annexation of this property at the southeast corner of 113 East Loop Road. And we are continuing to work very closely with Carol tomorrow. And hopefully we'll be coming to you soon on a major project there, but don't know at this point. We do know we're finalists, but you've been finalists a lot of times and not scored. It's nice to be a finalist. One thing, let me follow any comment on what I've just reported.
What's changing the date? Is it over advertising times running?
No, so Randy Williams realized that he had a conflict on Tuesday after he told me fine and wanted to switch, so we sent out a note today just because we haven't actually called the meeting yet. But I'll get them to midday tomorrow to be sure that we can get a quorum of the Planning Commission on Thursday the 16th. The main part of this memo, or the last part of it, north of I-20, as you know, and at Rocking D Road, and I'm going to ask George to come up to the table for just a minute. Of course, as we all know, there's been a number of problems on Rocking D Road with the unimproved status of this road. There also is some question in terms of the ownership of this road. And it's something that we need to take a look at and get our attorneys involved. I think there are some positives. We've had some new construction. Business seems to be picking up there. But there are a couple of problems that we really need to deal with. And one is deciding or determining, getting legal definition in terms of who owns the dirt section of Rocking D Road. Now, My assumption is that the city does because the road's been in use for some time. Apparently, when that property was annexed into the city some years ago, there's a question as to whether or not, how things were handled with what became the road bed. And we know on the other side of Rocking D, that was part of it was fenced in recently, that the road bed apparently was on the private property, and what was intended to be the location for Rocking D was where that little hill is. But what we do need, we've got property owners that are arguing with each other in terms of whose road and what they can do to have to pay any attention to any things that we would be trying to do concerning travel on the road, but the road's in bad shape, as we know. But I'm going to let George give you just a quick report, because I probably asked him to go over to Rocking D as much more than anywhere else, just to try to referee, and you'll see why we both think we need to get some answers and get things settled.
Essentially, you got two property owners. You got the Eggins on the front end of it, and you got Licata on the back end of it, where Rocking D is supposed to end. Mr. Egan basically says that's an easement, and he allows them to go to that property back there like that, and if he wants to park semis and everything along that road, he can do it. And the people on the backside say they can't get to their building because of the interference with the semi, the rigs and everything like that. I went to the county courthouse and everything like that, and I looked at all the plats. Can't find any determination where it ever became a city road or county road or any road. I can't even find records of easements. All I can see is the property lines. So about every week, 2 weeks or so, Mr. Licata, who owns the backside property, comes in and complains about A, Mr. Egan parking, B, the road not being developed, C, it's too muddy. It's just all the time.
So this is just a report, not asking you to do anything tonight, but we do need to get something settled on this thing.
Mr.
And
Egan's,
in part because we're not talking about a road that's just a vacant road. You've got improvements that have been made. You've got back, Mr. Licata, that's a big operation and potentially even bigger back that he has to get to that. And he has offered, whether or not we'll ever get this in a legal document, he's offered that he will pave the road if the city will do the curb and gutter. And that would be certainly something nice to get somebody to cover the cost of paving the road. But anyway, we do need to.
Mr. Egan said that if the city would sign a piece of paper saying they were gonna take over that road, take responsibility for that road, he'd be willing to give it over to the city. He just wants a piece of paper saying it's the city's, and so I imagine that also means us taking care of the road and all the liabilities that come with it.
Which one's parking the tractor trailers?
Egan,
Okay, that's the work that he's in.
right.
The models are fixing the road.
He's on the road truck repair guy.
Okay.
So sometimes, you can't leave it on the highway, you bring it there and you park it there, so.
Who's the other one? What business is that?
He's got it leased out to another trucking business. They paint trucks and do general repairs on trucks, for the logos on the sides and everything.
But you're not hearing anything out of SEG down there?
No, not a word.
The one that put the fence up?
Right, yeah.
That actually own the road?
Right, there's not, I've spoken with them many times and they're just as happy as can be.
But they own the road.
They own that road. At the front, at the Rocking D Road, the second old entrance to Rocking D Road that makes that loop, yeah, they own that road right there. And it was a driveway going into their, and I think somebody just finally ended up connecting the two.
So the other business has an easement for Mr. Egan.
Right.
So wouldn't that show up in the courthouse?
I can't find it. I went through all the plats, I went through every land record we have there.
And this goes back several years ago and different property owners.
Right.
It's sort of like when we close down on a subdivision, close down, say like at Webster Lake, where that road keeps going straight, where the old Greenwood used to go.
Yeah.
That don't belong to the city, it used to belong to the city at one time, but now it belongs to somebody else, and we don't have it.
So how many years has that business been at the end there?
I think it's
I
at
mean,
least
has
10,
they
at
used
least,
that-
at least 10, and I think I remember back when I moved here in '02.
Well, if they've had the easement for over 7 years legally, they've always going to have that, correct?
That's what
The
my
way I-
basis, but like we said, he'd be willing to give it over to us. All we have to do is assume liability for it, he's ready to.
Do we want it?
Well, you've got a big business back there that, and if it's not a city street, I guess, I think it's, not practicing law, Kerry, but if the road's been open for some years and traffic's been on that road, I would assume that, nobody's has done anything to put up barriers on that section. I think it's public use.
Yeah, I mean, I think typically that's your safest position. But, I mean, I need to look at it a little bit and just see, look at the history, look at that property, and be able to give you a better idea about it.
The city has spent tax dollars maintaining that road at times, but
Yes, sir. I mean, we've been grading and put things down, and, we've also had problems, postal service refusing to deliver mail back there because the road was in such bad shape, but like I say, Mr. Lagata said he would like to come tonight, just to say that he is prepared, if the city, if that becomes a city street, he's prepared to cover the cost of paving now. Whether or not he actually will do that, I can't tell you.
it's a big responsibility to build a road and take on a road that 18-wheelers are traveling daily.
I guess the one thing working in our favor is that the speed should be much slower than I-20, but yeah. But, the other consideration too is if we do take it on to improve and make it, structurally sound and whatever, then if that business chooses to move somewhere else, it would be a more attractive place for someone else to come to than it currently is with just the dirt road to get in and out.
And that was your top priority at the Peace Wash.
Yeah.
That approved, that was number one on the list.
So you're looking for us to say proceed?
Well, this is mainly just a report, but we will proceed to do some follow-up and get back with you, so you can make a decision on whether to move forward or
That makes sense. Let us know.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, George. Well, you might as well stay. Public Works Committee, Chairperson, Councilmember Tom Moss.
Okay, the first thing on our list is updated report on the staffing and operation of the City of Temple Public Works Department. Mr. Osborne and George.
I'm going to start it off and turn it over to George. You do have a tab that you just pointed out, of course, that you were talking about the form of the new Public Works Director. I do want to publicly thank George for the great job he's done as acting director. Frankly, I'm not sure what we would have done without him. And he has done a great job, and I think we're in better shape now than we were when he became the acting director. And I appreciate that. We did file a consulting engineer Howard Ray did file the stormwater management program report with EPD. And there was a tremendous amount of work that's going to have to be done over the next 5 years to implement that. And I'm going to turn it over to George on about 4 things. One, you do have a monthly report, and he will go over the monthly report on the Public Works Department. He also will make a report to you concerning a situation we had last night with a sewage problem, and then anything else he wants to cover.
Well, April was a pretty busy month for us. We had a lot of things going on. As you can see, we had a lot of sewer stuff and land application maintenance. One of the big things we got going right now is the MS4 system. I think I discussed this with you at Webster Lakes. We got a hold of the property owner, and he's agreed to let us do what we need to do to remedy that situation. And right now, it looks like what we're going to do is, it's not a dam, it looks like a dam, they made it into a dam. We're going to tear it down, and they have a piece of property there that's owned by them. Webster Lakes on one side, and there's a small strip where the water drains down into a storm system. So we're going to break that dam. We're going to drain out the water first, then we're going to make a passageway and keep that thing drained out so we don't have any more problem with stagnant water running through Webster Lake right there. Okay, and then, let's see, easement work, we actually discovered a whole bunch of new sewers, not really new sewers, but behind some of the subdivisions in Lake Shore that have been in neglect for many, many years. So we were back there finding sewer taps, and we're actually working on the easement back there. There's some trees back there that are been there since the subdivision stopped working. So we're going to get back there and there, clean that out, see what kind of intrusion or inflow we have in that particular area. And luckily for us, there's not a lot of sewer going through it because the home's not finished yet. So we might be ahead of the power curve on that. Spring cleanup day was a very good success. We actually filled a dumpster and a half. A lot of the community got involved. I think having Public Works interact with the Special Events Committee made it a all-around better idea, and I recommend that the next time we have our cleanup day, we continue that, make it a special event, and have a cleanup day. And we're also going to work in conjunction with Carroll tomorrow. They take electronics and things like that that we can't take. So maybe we can get that all into one and make it more productive. We had a lot of water. We always have about 250 to 200 city water work orders that we have to do every month. And that includes cutoffs, rereads, meter replacements. We had a lot of meter installs this time because the houses are picking up. And we had to install the old Neptune meters, which are the brass meters, because we don't know which way we're going yet for the new city meter project. So as soon as we know which way we're going with the new city meter project, we can start purchasing the meters we're going to use, and we won't be throwing good money after that. Stormwater maintenance, we had 144 Old Greenman Road. That was the water just kept blowing through this guy's yard. It come down off Wells Street, blow across the road and through his yard. It didn't help though that he was driving the cars from Old Greenman to his house and parking behind his house, so it made a nice channel for the water. But what we did is we cleaned out the storm drains, and you don't have a driveway there no more unless he wants to put a culvert in. So there's no more stormwater having problems there. Morning Star Road, which is over at Azalea Hills. This is that gentleman that complained at the meeting about the pond between the interstate and Azalea Hills. Behind his house, he said it was just stagnant water and stuff like that. So we went out there and looked, and sure enough, there was an old storm drain that was clogged up. We unclogged it, took about a half a day, and there was this big whoosh, and the pond disappeared. So there's no more stagnant water behind Azalea Hills anymore.
That's the one that was flooding his yard too.
Right. So we solved that problem. Grass cutting has started on the streets. If you notice over in the park, we started to do what the retention ponds are. We're cutting out the old grass and starting to let the new grass come up. We try to keep the grass longer there because it attracts the geese and it's good for the stormwater runoff. It slows it down so we don't have a lot of sedimentation. We had 21 litter work orders. That was basically all the streets in town. We had the crew picking up the trash. We had some patchworks going on. I think Richard would be happy to patch that one up on the top of Lakeview, that everybody cuts the rope, turns shorts, and it bounces in the road.
Right.
We fixed Ronnie Lane. We had a couple on Villa Rosa, Milk Shade, and Creek Run Place. We had a complete weekly, we did good this month. Every week we got an inspection done on every lift station. We couldn't solve all the problems, but we're actually inspecting every lift station once a week now. We're also started a manhole inspection. We really went into Windy Mill, and we got some problems there in Windy Mill with intrusion. I spoke with Howard Ray. He says normally how you solve the intrusion problem is you build a bigger lift station to handle the flow, if your system is that bad. We know one or two of them look like they have a lot of intrusion. We think we can fix that. We just got to get the hydraulics in and things like that and get it put together. Windy Mills Lift Station, Lake Shore, and Lakeland Park, Industrial Park, and Windy Mill. We installed SCADA cellular units now, so those units will be online, and we'll be able to watch them and monitor them for high levels, pad meters, bad flow, and things like that. Okay, we did the cleanup. We pressure washed City Hall. I think everybody realized how good it looked here and how shiny it was. The wind up is we have one more fire hydrant, and then we'll be in compliance with the county fire marshal. Webster Lake, as I said, we've been pushing this one off, the city storm drains, because we've had so much other stuff come off. But we're going to try to do that today. That might even be moved to June. We're trying to get around to repairing the curbing over on Stedham. But again, we've only got 3 people and we're tapped out right now. So let's see. What we're doing now is we're identifying lift station deficiencies, which we came up today. That raised us up to where we are. Deer Creek overflow, pretty bad. Estimated to be about 75,000 gallons. So what we did is we got it fixed. The moment we took us 4 hours to get it solved, but apparently it had been running before that. We got it solved with a bypass pump. We got a GWI to come out, check our motors out. It turned out we had a variable frequency drive go bad. And how that works is your power comes into your variable frequency drive. Your variable frequency drive starts at 0 and slowly winds itself up to 60 hertz. So you're getting a soft start on your motor. There's no way to prepare for that. I mean, that's probably the one thing that can go bad that we don't have a solution for. And so we only had one motor out there to begin with because the other one got sent off for repair well before I even knew what a lift station was, and it hasn't came back yet. So we were down one motor, and then we lost our frequency drive. And then the real kicker on this one is SCADA didn't report it until after it had been running for about 16 hours. And that was a SCADA issue. I monitored the SCADA, David monitored SCADA, and we both looked it up, and we got our first indication that that pump was overflowing at 8:30, and we were already standing out there working on it. And how we got that is somebody called from over there, called the police. The police called Dustin. Dustin called me, and we got in there and solved that problem and locked it down. I just recently, before like you guys were in executive session, I had to walk out and go over to Deer Creek. We had another high-level alarm, and the motor quit running again. The frequency drive reset itself. So Dustin went out there, dropped the bypass pump in. We got the bypass pump in. I went out there and we were able to get it reset. So right now it's working again. I think the problem right now is the heat on that frequency drive. there's an air conditioning unit that was unplugged, and we went to plug it in, and it kicked the circuit breaker off. So there's supposed to be a small AC unit that keeps that thing cool. So that's another issue that we got to address. And Deer Creek, I'm sure as you know, takes everything from the north side of town and pumps it over to Villa. So what we did is we contacted, with such a big spill, we contacted EPD, followed the guidelines, notified them what happened, notified that we did have a inflow into Trestle Creek, which it feeds the Little Tallapoosa River. And we notified Carroll County Water, Carroll County Health, and we also, article in the paper, notified the public. That was the immediate actions. The next actions are going to be what we've done to mitigate the problem, and we send that off to EPD. And I think that brings me to it. Any questions?
So you think the air conditioning will take care of the problem?
I've had worked in electronics a long time, and things start to overheat, things go bad. So yes, I think if we can get that fixed. It worked great until we first, all winter long it worked great, until we got up above 80, where we had that start kicking off. And I called Goforth Williams about, hey, where's our motor? They didn't even know they had our motor. So it was just a lack of follow-up somewhere along the line but we got that. Right now I
So
got
we know where the motor is?
Yes, I found it. Goforth Williams has it, and they want to charge us $5,000 to fix it.
So it hasn't even been
It's
repaired.
not even been repaired, it's been sitting there collecting dust.
Did you ask him?
I did, he didn't know. And I didn't even know until it happened. I was just as shocked as everybody else. And I said, yeah, there's only one motor in Deer Creek. And I said, why didn't you tell me this? I've been going through here trying to get a list of everything that's efficient. And bam, I was flabbergasted. But I think right now, we're monitoring it. Dustin's on it, I'm on it, and we should be able to, they're bringing some people out tomorrow to look at the frequency drive. I don't know how much they cost, but they're bringing somebody out to look at that as well.
Any questions? Okay.
Thank you, George.
Number 2, brief status report concerning adoptions and implementation timeline for new water meters for the city of Temple, as well as key points in developing a plan for improvements in water and sewer system. Johnson and Ms. Ross. Mary Johnson.
I will say we've had a meeting with representative from Georgia Power, and we have shared information about our city waterworks department and information they needed to kind of study our circumstances, and we have a meeting scheduled this week to follow up on that. We anticipate to be provided with some very beneficial information, and that will help to present you all with options to consider to get where we want to go. Mr. Ogden, you want to supplement that?
I think that's a very succinct description of where we are. And maybe tonight, we may have some reports to you that may let us, not of course of action. I know that all of you anxious to get started, and it has taken a long time, but of course with this thing with Georgia Power came up, it certainly is worth looking into because of the options that provides to us from an overall cost and operation standpoint. So we're getting close. That's all I can say.
Any questions on that? Number 3, updated staff report concerning directional signs for the city of Temple.
I've given you a little report, but also attached information back, going back to last fall. I think what we did is, as you can see, we had one response from a company that Mike McRae had suggested, and they gave us a quote of $5,800. If you remember back last year when we got the quote from the Atlanta area places, they were more than that. And what I want to do tonight is just bring this back to you and see if there are a couple of other places we'll get in touch that have indicated they would give us a quote to see is it 58, what we're talking about doing, would you be prepared to spend around $6,000 to get that done? And if so, we'll pursue it with these other companies and come back to you, and if not, then there's no reason to.
I got a question. Have we actually projected where we would put these signs and an actual projection of how many we would be looking at?
Well, what you got in terms of the quote from this company up in Dallas, you can see that we're talking about 3 different locations. You've got 2 locations that there will be, and then you got, so basically we would be talking about, I would say 3 different locations. Where those are, if you look on the sides, you can see one is Portland Parks and Rec and Senior Center, and one City Hall, Police Department, the library. Presumably, when those were identified, have those IDs, it would be certainly on a main road that would direct you to those facilities. But where they were to be, I was not involved in that.
Well, I'm personally glad to see that we found these, because I thought they'd been lost. I mean, this is phenomenal here. But, and you know, we certainly had, a part of that fact was the budgeted through beautification to be able to do some of this. But what would be nice is if we could have an idea of where they would go. So I think that's more important right now than anything else. You know, where would they go? How would it enhance movement, people finding their way, and not just, well, we're going to buy these and then where did we put it? That type of thing. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. I'm sure that there were places that
That
were in, I just don't know what they were.
So maybe can we just kind of hold off on this a little bit and try maybe to figure out where they were going?
Well, the only thing I'm asking you tonight is that you've got a quote for a little less than 6,000. We've got 2 other companies that Mr. McRae had indicated were possible, and we were looking for places away from the metro area that
Keep going with that.
So we can see about getting those other quotes, so we'll know that. And in the meantime, I'd say any of us, as you look around, but as to where they would go, but obviously Dwayne or whomever did that had in mind that.
See, that would really enhance the whole city to have this. And whether we do 1, 2, 3, 5 might make a big difference.
Right.
And it could be, I mean, you don't have to do them all at one time if we can kind of figure out where to put it.
Any other questions?
No. Yeah, it's Howard asking, not me. He asks as many as I do.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm just asking, President Haber, this bunch of some of these signs, is it something that would be covered under insurance if they were damaged or vandalized or something? They're expensive signs.
We can ask him, my assumption is the answer is yes, but we can specifically.
I was talking about Melissa Warren today that did this quote, and I asked what that is. It says sales tax. I said, we don't pay sales tax. We're exempt, so it would be the subtotal of 54 acres. And if we were in a position and had the help to use work details and public works to install them, we'd save another $800. That's just food stuff.
I think getting comparative is really nice, though, to be able to see, because this is certainly, by getting this, look at the improvement from this. I mean, that is daylight yard.
But there's ways to save money.
What do you say, money, and
Any more questions? Okay, that concludes Public Works.
now we get on Howard. Tom.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wallace. From the Public Safety Committee, chaired by Councilmember Howard Walden.
Item number one will be a brief update report from the April 22nd council special call meeting concerning the city of Temple's consideration of an animal control ordinance that would meet the requirements of the current intergovernmental agreement with Carroll County government. Mr. Gilbert will talk about that.
I don't know if I really have a whole lot to add from what we discussed the other night. It's just a matter of whether y'all want to go on and do an ordinance now, or what, something that is basically what the county has in place to match the intergovernmental agreement. I think that you got the intergovernmental agreement in your packet. Fairly straightforward in saying that the county wants everybody to adopt ordinances every later. So I think it's a good idea. They don't include it. It's just a question of timeline, but the actual, actual circumstances haven't changed, and so not.
I guess the thing I would add is that while you may not want to rush into anything, since back in 2008, some of your former colleagues pledged to do this. We're about 11 years later, but what you have with this intergovernmental agreement, that was part of the service delivery strategy, is that you were going to have an ordinance that would basically mirror tie-in with counties. Now, the county's been providing animal control services to the cities over this time. Whether or not they realize that we have not adopted an ordinance, I have no idea.
And I guess the question I would have too is did we adopt the ordinance? I mean, it's not on unit.
We can't find it.
We may have, but is there any reason not to?
I don't see why you wouldn't go ahead.
Well, then, don't we just proceed with it? If there's no reason not to, right? I mean,
We just adopt Carroll County.
Carroll County.
And then amend it when they amend it. Is that it? Any more questions? Ready, Mr. Phillips?
Yes, sir.
oh, I'm moving it over. I'm sorry. I'm driving to
Item number two, a report on the process used by the Temple Police Department in dealing with various types of noise complaints, including barking dogs and loud music. Chief Lee and Mr. Osborne.
Well, Chief Lee is coming up. This memo I gave you, the second part of it is five noise complaints, and did include a couple of things, but the chief will, the last part is quoting some things from your city attorney. The chief will make his report to you.
We did some searching through some of the ordinances that we could find, and we did find one that we had animals, birds, dogs, reference to the loud noise complaints. It says animal, birds, keeping of any animal, bird, which by cause stricter or long-term continued noise shall disturb the comfort or response of any person in the vicinity. So how we deal with that is, we've been doing it for many years, is you got a barking dog, which is the most common call there is on, versus a 911 call. Several of those a week, 2 several nights, and what we usually do is when we go, we try to make contact with the owner, get the owner to put the dog up or quiet the dog down or whatever, but further as doing anything else, we've never been able to do anything other than that. Now, the dog consists on barking and stuff like that, we can go ahead and citate the owner for the barking dog, but we have to hear it. In other words, if you say you hear that barking dog, and we come out there, I don't hear a dog, one thing I can do is, as courtesy, is go knock on the neighbor's door and say, hey, you got some people complaining about your dog barking. And that's it. So we leave and get a call back later that you hear the dog again, and we get there, we don't hear the dog, we really can't do anything. Now, if we hear the dog, then therefore we can take it to another level. We do have a protocol where Carroll County, the 911, I mean, we call 911, the animal control won't hardly come out on a barking dog call, because there's hundreds of those calls that come out, so they won't come out. It has to be something where the dog is threatening somebody's safety, life, or something like that, or whatever. And that's on how we get them to come out. They will not come out for a barking dog. And now, animal control have the power, if they do come out on something like that, they can take the dog in from the owner, but we can't. The only thing we can really do is citate or courtesy, ask the neighbor or whoever it is to put the dog up. Because if we sit here and I say citate, you talk about everybody else, they get a barking dog call on, we're gonna have to citate them. Because you don't want to just treat somebody different, and I cite you for your dog, and then your dog barking too, and I don't cite you. So it'll be a kind of like a fireworks thing. Everybody won't pop them on the 4th before they legalize it, and you just have to go through the neighborhood and say, hey, y'all gotta put them up, blah, 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 blah. Because if you sit here trying to citate one person and you got 100 others, you open a can of worms.
But at the same time, a continual dog barking or multiple dogs barking is really, that can cause real friction in a herd.
Exactly, you're right.
I mean, you might, it escalate. I mean, especially, I know one of the situations we're talking about here, there's 5 to 6 dogs. And it's not just one right after another. I mean, there's got to be something in there that can be of help.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, a medical condition being awakened in the middle of the night over and over and over again, it's a little bit different than somebody's dog randomly barking.
I'll look into that one too as well, but like you said, well, we have to get some kind of, if you got that going on, whoever it is, complaining on the dog barking, I would tell them to go ahead and get their phone out and record it. Therefore, if we get there, I can still look on the phone and tell when it was recorded versus somebody giving me a recording of something 2 or 3 days ago. I can be able to look on the phone and tell if it was a current recording of the dog barking, whether the dog is barking when I get there or not. So, and we can deal with it from that point on. We got records of your dog barking, and this is how many complaints we got on your dog. This is what's going to happen. Either put your dog up, do whatever you need to do to get him to stop barking, and not, we're going to have to citate you. Now, after that citation, if we write a citation on that, then the dog continues to bark. Only thing we can do is either try to contact animal control, or you don't want to keep giving citations on the same charge. Same thing, you get what I'm saying? But if it's a different day, another week later, it can happen. It's kind of like a disorderly house. You got loud noise complaint. We get them all the time. I come in your house for loud noise complaint. I'm not going to issue a ticket or do anything. I'm just going to warn you. Cut it down, whatever. Now, we get another call back later. I can come back pretty much later and get you on the noise ordinance, or either disorderly house for having that disturbance like that. And I've been out there several times and warned you on it. So the only thing we can do is cut the warning maybe once or twice, then issue a ticket on it if we got a barking dog call like that. But I would recommend you tell whoever it is to get a recording of it so we can witness it. Because if we don't witness it, it's really hard to enforce something if you can't witness, the officer can't witness it. We get people every day saying they saw somebody do something, I saw speed, or I saw them do this. We can't come in and enforce the citation unless we witness it. So get that recording on there. Tell them to get a recording of that dog barking at the time, because we can pretty much enforce it. Now you got a barking dog call, but then you got a noise ordinance is the same. We got a noise ordinance, and I think it's at 7 o'clock PM. That means for machinery and equipment that's not stated in this one here. So if somebody out cutting their grass after 7 o'clock and it really disturbs you, you can call in and ask the plan as a noise ordinance. Running equipment, they really got that ordinance really came out after all the construction, with the construction people running bobcats in the middle of the night. Yeah, so that's what it was designed for. But in the same token, we treat it the same as the barking dog. So tell them to get some kind of coordinator, either call us out to make we can catch them barking, but I don't have a problem with the officer approaching the owner of the dog, telling them they got to quiet them up, or they're gonna get a citation. But animal
And
control.
the next, the specific ones that I was involved in, there was a health issue.
Wasn't that one
And
too?
the awakening every night.
Every night.
And the caretaker can't deal with what.
And she did call the police, and what was done when we went out there?
Nothing.
What did she say? They talked to the neighbor, the dog owner?
No, they said that there was nothing the city could do.
Okay. Well, on that, I'm looking to that, because a lot of officers is really never do nothing on that call, because you got every 10 houses, 4 of those houses got dogs.
I know, and again, and it's not opening a can of worms to go, this is kind of a unique situation. It's not one dog, it's 5 dogs, and it's not random, it's constant, day and night. And I mean, if you're living in a neighborhood where you have neighbors, there's kind of an expectation that you live in a neighborhood with neighbors. And if you're going to have lots of animals, perhaps you need to be out in the country. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the answer to it. And that's the reason I said we were getting a couple of different answers.
Well, after I got a meeting to hold Mark, PD, and I'm going to address that situation with the supervisors and make sure that particular address anywhere and what to do when we get these kind of complaints, because that sounds like something continuous. So if we get something like that, we really need to look into it other than a regular barking dog call, because those come out,
Well, again, the kid's got a pet, the kid's got a pet. We all have the dogs barking before. This is not a dog barking and somebody getting mad. This is continuous. And it's multiple, it's not just one, it's multiple. If it just be a dog, but if you got 6 dogs, 5 or 6 dogs, and they're all barking, and they're barking in the middle of the night, and you've got somebody that's dealing with dementia, and you awaken them, then the caretaker then has to stay up every night to deal with that. And it isn't that, and I think a neighbor should be more neighborly than that, but if a neighbor's not, then we have a noise ordinance, I think.
Well, I'm gonna get with you after the meeting, personally, when we get that address, and I'm gonna go out myself and talk with them.
Okay.
And we'll try to squash that, but like I said, if it's going on like that, a person can be cited. That's a little different situation right there.
I got you, okay, thank you.
Craig, also on that same thing Richard's talking about, can't we have a clause in there that if it is an elderly person with a health issue, because sundowners is not dementia, but you know what sundowners is. If you wake them up like that, and you are with them, whether your wife, husband, or caretaker, they're up the rest of the night. The only recording you're gonna get is the fact you can't get them to sleep, and they're walking the floor, and they're hollering because they've been woke up.
That's gonna be, yeah, you're right. We can probably talk and get some kind of clause in there on that, but the only thing you got, for people, what do you do with these people with all these pets? It's,
You don't want to
pets
go
outnumber
too
the
far with it.
citizens.
I don't think there's any here, I don't want any idea that you're against pets.
Yeah, that's what
We're
I'm
talking
saying.
about something that's entirely different.
In this case here, I think the only thing it'll take is for me, and one of my administrators or something to go over and speak with these people that own these pets and let them know and advise them of the situation that we have and who's in that neighborhood that's elderly or mentally disturbed, because the dog barking dog is a common thing, but some people, when you have mental things going on, it's a little different for them. It's like firecrackers and people that's coming out of the ward and stuff like that. I would say that would be the only thing we can really enforce and try to do is go and speak to these people talk to them that has these dogs, because we put something in place with a barking dog. Is everybody gonna say, I got a mentally disturbed child, I got this, and then they might live next door to you, you gotta get rid of your dogs. You get it, because the dogs bark one time or two, you know, so we have to probably just approach them, and like I said, we'll do this resident that he's talking about now, prefer to put a clause in it. I really don't see it's gonna open a big can of worms for people with pets.
Richard, I know of a situation in Wynder where these people had a little dachshund bark all the time. Day and night, outside. People, the neighbor had complained about it. We took them to court. And they had to do something.
Yeah.
That's, I mean.
I think this particular
situation, that's what you have to do.
I do, since you said that, might him bringing that up, it could be, but like I said, it might be a can of worms when you got a lot of people keep dogs outside versus the people that keep them inside. But if they get a complaint that's through 911, I mean, would it be right for us to come and say, you got a complaint on 911 that you had a barking dog, and we still didn't witness the dog and tell the person they got to take the dog inside? Versus, you know, you might be mad with your neighbor just trying to be vindictive to him and say that his dog was barking and the dog hadn't barked, and then we make you take the dog.
No one is opening a can of worms. And no one is talking about somebody's poochie. We're talking about, you know, a specific case, and it probably is not the only one. And it's not funny, and it's serious. Because when people have health issues, and you got caretakers, you know, and you wear them both down, I don't think any of us wants that. We're not equating that with your pet dog going out barking at the moon. This is a continual thing.
Ongoing.
It's ongoing, and it's night after night after night. And the answer isn't to tell that person to go to the neighbor and talk to the neighbor. I mean, you know, your dog keeping me awake all night, put him up, shut him up. I mean, maybe we can address it somehow. Okay. Again, it's not a laughing matter. It's not talking about somebody's pet animal. And it's not going after anybody with pet. It's dealing with sickness.
Any more questions on item number 2? The chief. Is it okay if our chief is seated, if I skip on to number 7, report by police chief?
Sure.
Let's do that, and the chief will be finished.
Well, I did, you guys to
You should have his report, I guess. I gave you earlier.
y'all been busy.
Yeah. A minute ago.
Highlighted here again, I point out, you guys just look at that and see what's going on actually, other than the top portion of the paper. You can't really tell other than by numbers, and which is a lot of numbers for a small town. Something I can tell you. I've been down to the board meetings down in Carroll County, and Temple is carried a pretty good load worth of calls, and for it to be a small city. I mean, Mount Zion, Bowden, and Pikesburg combined, we got twice as many calls as all three put together. But our officers are doing a great job. Y'all can see we're making a lot of arrests, get drugs off the road, DUIs, which making our streets safer. If I have any questions to anything, and just let me know. We hear investigations are saying that we got a lot of closed and warrants issued on crimes on person, child crimes, so forth. They continue to do a good job.
I will say, I do see them out working. It's noticeable.
Everybody, all patrol officers, everybody, and the staff at the PD is excellent, as working with the records and different issues. Excellent.
How many sergeants do we have?
One sergeant. That's the investigator. Tina. Tina.
Oh, Tina. Any questions on the report? Look like y'all been staying busy.
Yes, sir.
I guess the sad part is, and the scratch your head part is the 2 tractor trailers stuck on the tracks.
Yeah, it's always until we figure out what the railroad company's gonna do. Gonna have that ongoing problem.
We had 2 this month. 2.
We had one that y'all don't know about, but we was able to get it off. It ain't no big commotion thing, nobody know about it. You know, one gets stuck and we get him off, but he don't get stuck and we stop him right there on the track, he ain't gonna hear about it. He's gonna tell him how many of those.
You still get the citations, don't you?
No, it's, if you got, it's 2 phases of citation. If he gets stuck, it's a citation, or if he crosses it and don't get stuck, it's still a citation because he still disobeyed the traffic control device. But if he stops at the time and still get turned around, no, we don't want to give a citation out.
That's pretty expensive citation.
Yeah.
They're still coming and crossing at the pharmacy. We had 2 today to cross.
Tractor trailer?
Yeah.
They got it
At the
dropped.
pharmacy.
Did they get over?
Yeah, they were coming, you know, and I think that I wondered if maybe why maybe they don't know that there's a level crossing on down the way. Is there anything?
They go strictly on their GPS,
Yeah.
and it's crazy. And I said, this GPS will lead you to hell, you gonna still follow.
That way.
An experienced driver should be able to.
It takes them right over there.
Wow.
You got a lot of new
There's gotta be another way to cross, the GPS, it doesn't show, it shows the closest route, that's what's getting me there every time. It don't show you the way to go, you know, but until we get those guards up, it's gonna keep happening.
You're right.
And I spoke with an attorney, I guess the same one you was dealing with a couple of weeks ago. I think it's from your office, I'm not mistaken. And,
It wasn't me, but.
you know, with you, but he said there was some stuff on the wrecks on the track and how many incidents we had that occurred during the crosses and everything. And I was getting back with him on that because I was telling him then we need to put those railings up like they have in Bill of Record. Once we put those up, it's gonna eliminate it because they know they're gonna tear the top part of their truck off. You can see it, it's sitting right in your face that you can't go under. So.
I think they're going
No, they won't.
No, not
A lot more
those.
expensive to top of
Yeah.
the truck than it is pay that fine.
I had some communication with the city manager there, Mr. Barber. I've got to go see and distinguish which one is which. I know there's one that's right there near J&J Auto Repair. I think that was the one the city put up themselves. And then he highlighted that there were some that were put in place by the railroad company. And I got to see what those look like compared to the one that stuck in my head is the one that I believe the city did.
Yeah, because all that property is the railroads. You'd be surprised with what property they own off Sage Street. Probably some of them houses sit on the property. But probably need to get with them and see. They either furnish the bar and we put it. I think they won't put it in because it's by railroad, but they might want us to buy it. They might do both because when they get, it should be tired coming out there to check that track. Because every time a truck gets stuck on that track, they have to send an inspector out every time. And it's got to be wearing them down. I mean, they got deep pockets, but still you get
They have to
tired
do
of
that
doing the
before
same
the trains
thing.
can resume. They have to do that before the trains can resume.
Yeah, every time they have to send an inspector out because if you don't, you get what you got in Douglasville. And we can't have that. That'd be awful. That's it.
Any other questions? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you, Chief.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Back up to item number 3. Report on preparations for implementation of the City of Temple's new inmate services agreement with Carroll County government. Mr. Osborne.
As you may remember, we had brought this up recently, and Chief Lee did make a call to the SO, and subsequently I was called and were expected to get an agreement from them soon. Now, interestingly, they told me that they had sent an agreement last year. We never got the agreement, and it is possible that they emailed it, and it was one of those emails that we don't get. If it's multiple pages, I don't have any idea. But we are on the lookout, for it, and once we get it, we'll bring it to you. But that is in the works.
Okay, very good. Any questions on that? All right. Starting item number 4, report on possible placement of a communication piece on city-owned property near the intersection of Johnson Street and Milner Street. Mr. Osborne and Mr. Jordan.
I had given you a memo just to let you know about this. We had a couple of years ago where these people to come look at possibly putting a communications dish on the location there, and we didn't hear anything from them, and assumed they were gone somewhere else, but recently they recontacted us. We met with them the other day on site, and they're talking about needing an area of 600 square feet, 8 foot high would be the dish on ground level. It would be over, not about halfway between the Johnson Street and that old storage building we've got down on the west side, on the north side rather than white. The other thing though that they did is, for the first time, we met with them the other day, they gave us a proposed gateway lease agreement, which we sent up to the city attorney. And I don't know what Kerry's gonna tell you, but, it is long and involved, and, I won't make any comments other than I yield to Kerry.
Well, I've started reviewing it. I think the first thing I'll say is Mike at my office seemed to think he had reviewed the same lease a couple of years ago when they first came. So, but we couldn't find anything where that had been discussed. I don't know whether it was something that he talked about verbally with somebody or not, but, the lease itself is just fairly straightforward and not real unusual. I can tell you that the version I've looked at, doesn't reflect changes that we would have made in 2017 if we didn't see it. Because there's some things in there that obviously going to have to change, but if it's something that y'all are interested in doing, I would just provide my changes to, I don't know whether you'll have an attorney there or the person who you contacted.
Yeah, this was a member of the advance team. He had a copy that he'd been given. And of course, I think all of you know, they're talking about paying $400 a month for having the dish there. And each year, the payment would increase by 7%, I think.
Where is this?
6%. Well, at the corner of Milner and Johnson, where you got the parking lot.
That's right, pretty much where the trash box is sitting right now.
Where the old discount lot is.
And you know, on the north side of that lot is the old storage building. It's still standing.
Down there by the ball fields.
Oh, where
Where it was
the,
So
being
actually, the
seen at.
parking lot,
where the police
Well,
department.
it's not in the parking lot, it's in the north side.
where the old impound
Yes.
facility is.
Yes.
And what is this? What type of dish is
It's
this?
communications dish that and they're putting in a system of them, actually, the way they mentioned the other day, that pretty well within a range of X number of miles, one way or the other, be along the I-75 corridor all the way from Florida up to Michigan, or where the
So
75
this
goes.
is up in the air.
No.
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 they
Stands
can't-
8 feet tall. From the ground up to the tip, it's supposed to be 8 feet and be surrounded by a 6-foot fence. And with, and Chief Lee's recommendation, they are going to put barbed wire around the top to discourage visitation from outside the fence.
So this is one of the big round dishes that they're talking
Well,
about? Not like a tower.
it's not a tower, like I said, it's 8 foot tall now. The whole enclosure is 600 square feet, so you figure that's what, 20 by 40 or whatever. So it's not a big area. And it would be, as the mayor mentioned, unless they picked up that old dumpster out there that I've told Waste Industries to pick up, that's where it's gonna go. I think they may have even marked off the area. If you go out there, you probably can see where they put up the ribbon. But you'll have to decide. I thought that they had gone somewhere else, but this is a network, so they, depending on what they put north of us and south of us, have to determine that they would be in about this area. And
This
they like that
is
because
dangerous
it's a
for the kids.
good line of sight, because the, I guess, fiber that they would be tied to or read off of, whatever it is, runs on the railroad.
What was that question?
This is not one of those that emits the,
Well, it's not a cell tower.
so we don't have to worry about the radio waves or any of those things that could be
My understanding was
harmful to our children.
it receives signal just like a person's satellite dish receives a signal for TV reception.
And who would be using that? I mean, would it be?
That telecom.
Well, as it was presented to us, they would receive information, and then it's going to be connected to the fiber optic cable that is nearby. There are two splicing points, one to the west and one to the east of this location, and I don't know which one he said they would go to. I don't even know if he said which one they would go to, but it would hit that fiber optic cable and go wherever it goes.
They're gonna need a maintenance easement to go along with it? I don't think they would.
Neither.
A maintenance easement so they can maintain it?
They obviously would want to have access. I don't know what's in that's something so they can be able to get to it. But it would, we would have at some point, I assume we'll pave that parking lot. And so, I mean, you'd be parking all around it, so it's at the edge of where the parking lot would be, over on the side, like I say, about halfway between the street and that old building, which we need to tear down.
That's $400 a month.
When will we need to vote on that?
Well, we,
Come up or Monday or
Uh,
the agenda?
well, we were waiting, wanted to report to y'all tonight to see what your temperature was, wanted to see what the attorney had to say about it. So now, if you want to move forward on it, we can get information, we can get in touch with the company. But I would say, Mr. Mayor, from what they said to us the other day, it wasn't a question about if they wanted the site, it was just a matter of.
Is this the same fee they're paying in other places? 400 sounds kind of low for telecommunication.
I can't tell you in terms of that. I would,
Do we know where another one is?
well, they're putting these in, so I guess we'll be able to find out something.
They make a lot of money off of those things. Especially I assume we're talking about, if they're talking about along the expressway, that's cell phone, right?
I don't know. Well, when I say along the expressway, I mean, we're reasonably long distance from 75, and depending on the range that they would be looking at, they just basically, from what they said, is that they are kind of following the same corridor that 75 is located in.
Any more questions? Okay. We'll go on to item number 5. Report concerning the plaque presentation and recognition of the police department during the Monday, May 6th City Council regular meeting, since the city of Temple once again has been declared to be one of Georgia's safest cities. Mayor Johnson.
Yes, I would report that in preparation, we want to get this to be right the first time as far as the plaque and its design and its appearance and so on. that will be done at the June regular meeting.
Okay,
Give us extra time to get it right.
okay, get it right, get it ordered, and
Well,
then
we have to, the company doing the plaque would have to have 5 business days. And, so we kind of got up against the time window and so we decided to just delay it a month.
are we gonna do a combination on it to include, the year before last, is also 17 and 18?
This will recognize all 3 years.
16, 17, and 18. Okay, any questions for Mayor Johnson on the plaque? All right, oh, George, you're already called. Item number 6.
Well, let me add one more comment to that. What we're looking at doing is actually doing 2 plaques identical in appearance. One to be hung at the police department and one to be hung here in City Hall. So as many eyes as possible will see it.
Okay, anything else?
Sorry.
Item number 6, report by codes enforcement officer, Mr. Scott.
Okay,
Report.
most of my time has been taking care of public works, but we did manage to get some code work. Most of the cases really are focused on accumulation and soil and erosion. Soil and erosion because of all the construction work we have going on around here. It's been pretty consistent, 2 or 3 times a week. I'm out there making sure the silt fencing and everything's not messing up our MS4 system, and messing up everyone's yard. We're also getting a lot of complaints about nails in the road. I'm sure you know, construction's going on, and we got nails in the road, and we got paper flying everywhere like that, so we get quite a bit of calls, and we go out there and handle each and every one of them. I think we fog permits, except for Carroll County Schools, everything's up to date on the fog permits. We dealt with one unsafe living condition house. Actually, they're getting it cleaned up now. That's over there at Rome Street. I think everybody, if you go by there, you see the big red sign. They're really doing a good job of cleaning that house up right there and bringing it back into where it needs to be. I think unfit structures, everybody's seen it. We Villarosa Place, that house is completely tore down. A lady, I told her probation officer, so we should be clear of that one. We still have a few more places that need to be taken care of. It's getting that time of the year again where the yards are starting to grow up, and we've already started getting complaints about the grass being too high, so we've issued 8 courtesy warnings on that. And then we'll probably start following up with that a little bit more as the summer progresses. Our focus right now is, we'll talk about the motion for the Tuesday. I'll have to come back to it a little bit. But pretty much it, unless anyone has any questions.
Any questions for Cody?
Good thing is,
Thank you, George.
Short and sweet.
sometimes you can merge together some things I talk about in public works and I talk about over.
Have to remember what department here you're
Report done, item number 7, so that will complete public safety.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, next item is executive session if needed, and at this time, we won't need that tonight. So that brings us to closing comments. Council Member Bivens.
Is that air conditioned boat?
It's been freezing all night.
It is not.
Some of us have icicles on our ankles.
It's not broken, it's just a matter of what temperature is agreeable to whom.
I think that's the one thing right.
It's on 74, so, you know,
Okay.
one person 74 is not another person 74. Anything else? Okay. Councilmember Ball.
Well, the mayor did a great job this morning getting the Burger King open. If y'all have not visited it, well, take a look at it. It looks nice.
It does. Councilmember Wallace.
I just just want to thank George for the double duty he's been doing these last few months. I know it's been very hard, but he's done an excellent job. And we appreciate it.
Councilmember Miller,
No, sir.
Councilmember Brighton.
Nope. George, Tom took away too many times.
Well, at the risk of annoying Mayor Pro Tem Brackman, I want to extend these comments, and that is a thank you to the council and to the city staff for the time that you are investing in these committees meetings and the things that we are able to accomplish in advance of the regular meetings. I think it's a worthwhile thing, and I just want to say thank you for the time that you are investing in the city and its citizens. Thank you very much. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.